Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever felt like you're constantly chasing something, maybe some elusive energy or clarity, only for it to just slip away? We often look up, right, towards the light, these higher states, thinking that's where the answers are. But what if the real power, the actual activation, isn't up there at all? What if it's precisely where almost nobody is looking? Today, we're doing a really fascinating deep dive into a source that, well, it pretty radically challenges conventional spiritual wisdom. It introduces this concept called the sacral pump, maybe the lower furnace. Our mission really is to distill the core insights here for you. We want to explore what this sacred pulse actually is, why it's supposedly so crucial for your well-being, and how both ancient wisdom and some surprising modern science seem to point to its profound importance.
Yeah, what's really fascinating here is how this material just completely reorients our perspective. Instead of suggesting we force energy to rise up, it proposes that true vitality actually comes from cultivating a deep, stable foundation within ourselves. Mm-hmm. It highlights this really vital point where unspoken weight, block impulses, all that stuff can accumulate. Yeah. And it creates this sort of invisible pressure,
Okay, so let's get right into that core idea. Yeah. The sacred pulse at your base. Mm-hmm. Our source material really emphasizes this isn't just a chakra or some symbol. It's described as living matter waiting for direction, something much more primal, almost like this core of unactivated energy just waiting for your attention, really.
Exactly. And this point, they explain, it's where everything that was held back starts to gather. Just think about that for a second. Every unspoken word, every impulse you stifled, desires silence before they even took shape. All this unprocessed excess, it creates what they call an invisible pressure at the base of your spine, like a quiet tension right at your core.
Right. And here's where it gets really counterintuitive compared to what we usually hear. While you keep focusing on the top, it grows rigid. While you keep forcing light, it collapses. So this hidden center, they suggest, does not want to rise, it wants to open. It's a fundamental shift in thinking, isn't it?
It really is. And it's not entirely new, actually. While, many spiritual traditions look skyward, let's say, ancient masters who truly understood energy flow, they often started from the earth, from the foundation. You think about Taoism's concept of Jing, this vital essence, life force, described as the point where essence kind of condenses into vital impulse. Or even the Hermetic traditions talking about a lower ignition of the temple, hints of this foundational power.
Okay. That's a crucial distinction then.
Yeah.
So the key message from this source is really clear. You do not need to raise the kundalini, that big energy often shown coiled at the base. You do not need to ignite visions. You only need to release the propulsion center that lives compressed at your base. And they call this the sacral pump, right? Saying it moves dormant awareness, pulsing like a second heart.
Exactly like a second heart. That's the description.
Okay, so now that we kind of grasp what this sacral pump thing is, the big question for you, the list, why does it matter? What's the significance? And our source says it's fundamental to how your body actually handles energy. It explains that your body was designed not just to conduct energy, but crucially to contain it.
Yeah.
And that unprocessed stuff, that weight we talked about, it creates pressure that actually hinders the natural flow.
Mm-hmm. And there's a direct link here to manifestation, to flow in your life. The material states pretty clearly, there is no true manifestation without that fire lit. It emphasizes that when this deep pulsing is awakened at your base, well, everything rises. Energy, clarity, presence. It's not about forcing things up. It's about allowing them to emerge naturally from this stable, grounded core.
That really shifts things, doesn't it? From just feeling good to something way more fundamental, like a system recalibration. When this point is activated, they say, the body starts to breathe from the ground up. The system reorganizes itself. And importantly, your vibration stops being theoretical. It becomes something you feel direct and put to use. Our source calls this applied energy architecture, even the science of living presence within the body.
Right. And the original wisdom, as the source points out, it never really separated the spiritual from the physical. That's maybe a more modern split. It was understood deeply that energy only rises with integrity when it comes from a place where the body no longer needs to lie. And this sacral pump, this area, is that foundational place. It allows for that authentic, unhindered flow.
But maybe the most compelling part isn't just the ancient roots. It's how modern science is now, maybe unexpectedly, starting to validate these ideas. This isn't just philosophy. This is where it gets really interesting. How is science echoing?
It's quite remarkable, actually. Modern science, which for centuries kind of ignored the body's base, is catching up. Take craniosacral therapy. Researchers discovered the sacrum, that triangular bone at the spine's base. It's not just structural. It actively participates in the subtle rhythmic mechanism moving cerebrospinal fluid all along the spine. An osteopathic physician, John Ledger, a pioneer here, he actually called this the sacral pump. Noted it functions like an internal oscillator that regulates the body's autonomic state.
An internal oscillator. Wow. So regulating things like stress response, focus, bringing you into balance.
Exactly, helping you feel more centered, less reactive, which aligns surprisingly well with those ancient claims of vitality and clarity, doesn't it?
It really does, and the science connection continues.
Oh, yeah. Neuroscience confirms aspects, too. Things like deep breathing practices combined with conscious, even subtle contractions in the pelvic base. These have been shown to powerfully activate the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve, right? That's huge for shifting into rest and digest, safety, regeneration.
Precisely. Guiding the body into states of safety, clarity, and regeneration. Putting your nervous system into a more optimal, creative state, essentially.
So, like our source says, we're moving beyond just belief systems here. We are no longer speaking of belief. We're speaking of living architecture validated by exams and clinical protocols.
What the ancients maybe intuitively called the lower furnace, science is now starting to recognize as an active core of somatone neural regulation. That's the body's own internal system for regulating itself, through sensory and neural feedback.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, it sounds like when this core is activated, there's this profound shift. The body stops surviving and starts creating.
That's the idea. Vibration that was maybe scattered before starts to condense, to find direction and purpose.
Okay, this is powerful stuff. So the practical question, how can you actually begin to access this point in your own body? Our source material gives a pretty clear practical path, calls it a forgotten reconnection.
It really is about bringing awareness back, isn't it? Back to the point that sustains your vital energy. So here are the 5 steps they lay out. It's about cultivating the step 1. Ground your awareness in the roots. So you sit with your spine upright, where you can lie down comfortably. Bring your attention right into the space between your tailbone and your lower abdomen. The source calls it the vibrational cradle. And the key thing here is not to visualize something specific. Just observe, notice what's there. You might sense a kind of dense silence, maybe a gravitational pull, weight, density, perhaps even a very subtle pull. And the insight is crucial. Energy responds when you stop trying to force. Just be present.
Okay, so no forcing, just observing that base area. Got it. What's step 2?
Step 2, activate the respiratory pulse of the base. So keeping your attention in that root field, you inhale deeply through your nose, but with the intention of expanding your breath all the way down, like you're breathing into your perineum. Then just exhale naturally through your mouth. Let it go. Keep your attention on this grounding flow for several cycles. This focused breath, even without trying to do anything, gently activates that sacral pump. It awakens subtle internal and the goal here is explicit. It's grounding. It's not about chasing ecstasy. Remember that phrase, before anything can rise, containment must be created. You're building the container.
Building the container with the breath makes sense. Okay, step 3.
Step 3, stimulate the flow with subtle pelvic movement. So while you're still sitting upright or lying down, start a very gentle tilt of your pelvis, forward and backward. Think of it like a really soft rocking of the hips. It's not big, you're aiming for rhythm, creating a small wave right at the base of your spine. And keep breathing deeply and consciously while you do this. This simple rhythmic movement, it acts directly on the sacrolumbar axis, increases mobility there, activates these things called mechanoreceptors, sensors, sending feedback to your brain. When you do it in sync with your breath, it starts to generate what they call a vortex, an energetic circulation field that connects base and skull without tension.
Interesting. A vortex connecting base and skull without tension. Then step 4, stillness.
Yes. Step 4, become still and notice the return. After a few minutes of that combined breathing and gentle movement, you just gently stop the action, remain completely still. And now you just observe your body again, feel what's vibrating. It's in this quiet moment that circulation happens in the silence. Energy begins to organize itself. You might start noticing, a gentle pulse maybe rising up your spine or perhaps an expansion in your chest center. The guiding principle here is clear. The flow only rises when there's real space at the base to support it. You're basically allowing your body to reveal what it inherently knows.
Allowing the body's wisdom to emerge. Okay, and the final step.
Step 5, guide the frequency along the central axis. So with the base now feeling activated, maybe pulsing, you return to that deep, conscious breathing. And with each inhale, you gently visualize the air, or maybe just that subtle energy, rising from your pelvic region all the way up to the point between your eyebrows, your third eye area. And as you exhale, you gently guide that flow back. This deliberate but gentle move creates a kind of bridge between the sacrum. It actively engages and harmonizes the energy channel that Taoist traditions call the dumi, or the governing vessel, which is known for regulating vital force distribution.
Wow. Okay, so that whole sequence, what's the intended out? They say it stabilizes internal circulation, leading to refined presence and vibrational maturity.
That's the language they use, yeah. It means your energy starts to sustain itself, it recycles, it nourishes you from within, and critically, they connect it back to manifestation. Manifestation becomes possible, not as an anxious desire, but as the natural consequence of a body vibrating as a whole. Effortless creation.
This really does make you rethink how we approach growth, doesn't it? Spiritual practice. Why is this whole deep dive, this focus downward, so, revolutionary? Because our condition conditioning, culturally, spiritually, it often pushes us the exact opposite way.
Exactly right. That little bit of doubt you might even be feeling right now listening to this, that sense of, is this too simple or not spiritual enough? The source says that doubt does not come from your essence. It comes from collective conditioning. We're just so often taught that the only way to access deep states is through vertical ascension, always reaching higher, transcending the body. But what few understand, they say, is that true strength is not up above. It is in the root that supports everything.
The source shares that powerful story about someone named Luke. He'd spent years studying breathwork, altered states, really chasing that ascension. But the power he invoked rose halfway, then vanished, just fizzled out. So frustrated, he went back to his old teacher, this really wise person who spoke simply. And the teacher gave him just one sentence.
Yeah, the sentence was, you are trying to rise with an empty base. Powerful, right?
It's incredibly direct. So what happened? What was Luke's breakthrough?
Well, Luke's shift was profound because it was so simple. He just completely stopped chasing ascension, stopped looking for ecstasy. Instead, he started breathing downward, just to his perineum, in silence, with absolutely no goals, no expectations. And this practice, which seems so humble, it led to what he described as a dense circular heat. And over time, his entire field had reorganized. Now, apparently, he doesn't talk about pushing energy or seeking those big transcendent states anymore. His whole focus is just on circulation and presence. It's a testament to grounding.
That really hits home the core message then. The most common obstacle here is expectation, wanting something big, fast, intense. But this practice, they stress, does not work through impact. It works through grounding. It responds not to how hard you try, but to the quality of your listening, to that subtle gesture that recognizes that descending before rising is an act of energetic courage. It takes a different kind of patience, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the solution they advise is simple, but often hard to do in our fast world. Just stay longer, more breathing cycles, more time just being present at the base, more patience with the silence, with the subtle. Because true transmutation, they argue, does not come from rising too fast. It comes from sustaining what pulses without hurry.
Wow. Okay. So bringing this all together, what does this really mean for you listening right now? This deep dive, I think, has shown us that true power maybe doesn't need to be chased or forced upward. It's maybe more about a return, an invitation to really inhabit that point where everything began, where vibration meets structure, and where maybe a profound, quiet presence can replace that kind of anxious intention we often carry.
It really does raise a big question for all of us, I think. In a world that's constantly pushing us to reach higher, ascend, achieve more, what would it actually look like to truly honor the ground beneath our feet and that silent, fertile darkness within ourselves, to find our strength not just in reaching, but maybe even more so in rooting?
As our source reminds us, this is a really powerful thought. He who has a why to live can bear almost your deepest reason, your core purpose. Maybe it isn't at the top of some distant mountain. Maybe it's right here in the ground that supports your breath, in that silent access you've maybe been taught to ignore, in the root that, when it's truly honored, transforms the invisible into creative density. The path of the base, they say, isn't lower. In many ways, it's the most difficult path of all, because it demands surrender without spectacle, presence without applause, power without hurry. And those who have the courage to remain there, well, they ignite the kind of fire that simply does not go out. We really hope this deep dive resonates with you, maybe inspires you to explore this profound